What's good for gold is good for copper. And Albemarle announces a $1.3 billion investment. You're listening to Kitco Roundtable. I'm your host, Michael McCrae. Paul Harris is with us. How you doing, Paul?
I'm very well, Michael. How are you today?
Very well. Let's turn to macro. Gold and silver prices solidly higher in midday U.S. trading Thursday, boosted in the wake of the Federal Reserve raising its main interest rate by a quarter point, but also suggesting rates will not continue to rise. That according to a report by Kitco's Jim Wyckoff. A depreciating U.S. dollar on the foreign exchange market is also working in favor of the metals. Last checked, gold was at $19.96, just $4 off 2000, and silver was at $23 an ounce. While the Federal Reserve's FOMC meeting produced a multi-expected quarter-point rate hike, Fed Chair Powell at his press conference leaned a bit more dovish than he had in recent months. What's good for gold has also been good for copper. Copper is at $4.11 per pound, up 1.7% compared to Wednesday's closing, partly due to the favorable exchange market. Last checked, WTI oil is trading at just under $70 a barrel. Up next, mining, but first our sponsor. Snowline Gold, ticker SGD on the Canadian Securities Exchange, and SNWGF on their TCQB, is a Yukon-based explorer with one of the territory's largest mineral portfolios amassed privately over 3 decades by prospectors Ron and Scott Berdahl. Snowline is going big. They're focused on district-scale greenfield gold discoveries, and they're well on the way to finding world-class gold deposits. The team made 2 significant gold discoveries in their first year, including the Valley Zone on their Rogue project, a near-surface high-grade bulk tonnage gold system with drill intercepts of up to 390 meters at 2.5 grams per ton gold from surface. With 8 projects in the Yukon and over 30 priority exploration targets, Snowline is just getting started. Companies backed by some of the best. Keith Newmar, Eric Sprott, and Crescat Capital are significant shareholders. Snowline Gold is a unique opportunity for investors to be part of multiple discoveries and creation of a new gold district in one of the world's most desirable mining jurisdictions. Learn more at snowlinegold.com, ticker SGD on the Canadian Securities Exchange, and we thank Snowline for their support. Paul, any mining headlines?
Yes, quite an interesting week. Not necessarily a great deal of knock it out the park exploration news, but some interesting things nonetheless. As you mentioned, specialty chemicals company Albemarle announced plans to locate a $1.3 billion US lithium hydroxide megaflex facility in Chester County, South Carolina. With construction due to start in 2024, the company expects the facility to produce about 50,000 tons per year of battery-grade lithium hydroxide from multiple sources, with potential to expand up to 100,000 tons per year. Those multiple resources include recycling batteries. Canada's Mine Hub Technologies was selected by Chile's state copper company Codelco to use its Weighbridge trading platform as Codelco's global commercial platform for metal sales. Codelco will use Weighbridge to digitize its global refined copper business, which the company said would see it lead the industry towards more efficient, reliable, and sustainable trading. The Weighbridge platform provides seamless order processing, real-time shipment tracking, inventory management, and reporting for the commodities ecosystem by automating data connections between customers and their entire supply chains. Finally, shares of First Majestic Silver fell off a cliff this week after the company halted operations at its Jarrett Canyon gold mine in Nevada. The company said it has been unable to sustainably feed the processing plant at a minimum of 3,000 tons per day, and so its cash costs per ounce have remained higher than anticipated. While mining activities have temporarily stopped, processing of 45,000 tons of material in surface stockpiles will continue over the next couple of months, while the company continues to explore to grow its mineral resources. About a month ago, the company said in its guidance it was looking at producing 119 to 133,000 ounces of gold this year at Jarrett Canyon. Just this week, it said this guidance can no longer be relied upon.
Paul, it was a pleasure seeing you. It's always a pleasure seeing you at the last conference, although I think it was also helped by the fact that we're seeing you in the sunny skies of Florida instead of the snows of Toronto. But we are past, I guess, probably peak mining conference season with BMO and PDAC in the past. Looking ahead, what are milestones? What are you going to be keeping an eye on in the mining sector?
I think one of the a couple of interesting things, Michael, you mentioned that copper is responding with gold to the macro environment, copper at 411. So a lot of commentators and analysts think copper is going to run at some point to much, much higher levels. I'll be in Santiago in a month's time for the World Copper Conference and looking to find out much more then. Somebody keeping an eye firmly fixed on copper. Earlier today, I interviewed Peter Kukilski, who's president and CEO of Hudbay Minerals. And, this was one of his themes is there isn't a lot of supply response coming through. He said nobody's permitting projects at the moment. Part of that is because of the difficulties permitting around the world, but also because there's just a lack of projects actually getting to that stage and ready to enter that stage. Later,
I'll just sorry to interject for a minute, Paul, but I'll just add on to your interview that you did with Colin Hamilton at the BMO conference as well. You had the same question to him just regarding M&A in the copper space, or the lack thereof it. He had two interesting, but he was to reiterate what you said. There's just kind of seemed to be the cupboard's bare. There just seems to be a lack of projects out there. Also, the price is not good enough yet for what is happening for copper, and never mind cost inflation and how complex these projects are. It's just better to wait it out until actually being able to build something, but it could mean that we have some pretty tight copper supplies going down the road. But anyway, carry on, Paul.
Absolutely. I think it will also be interesting to watch the financing space for junior gold companies, because there's an increasing interest in copper exploration. We've seen a number of new copper juniors come out. There's a big boom in new lithium exploration companies. All of these are obviously attracting capital, which presumably means there's less capital available for gold explorers. So it'll be interesting to see how what the financing window is like for gold exploration companies. Gold at almost $2,000, very, very attractive. The gold producers, a lot of them will be making money hand over fist. But to what extent will that knock on in terms of finance being available for the juniors as they look to continue exploring and doing the economic studies, resource calculations, etc., etc. I think, in a few months' time, or 6 months' time, give or take, we'll have the start of the next conference season with the Beaver Creek Precious Metal Summit, and then the Gold Forum Americas in Colorado Springs. Be very interesting to see what the sentiment is there, whether it's been a really tough year or a really good year.
Just to add on to your point, Paul, and I don't want to scare you because it seems like we've just gotten through the Q4s, but Q1 should be dropping at the end of April. That'll be a month from now, so we can see how well the seniors were treated with this 1900 gold, or 1900 rather, plus gold.
Yes, I think, one thing that will be interesting to see if it's changed or not, looking at the full year figures, the aggregate production and things of that nature for the gold sector was pretty constant compared to prior quarters, but there was a lot of variability within there. Some companies really, really did perform well. Some companies really didn't perform well. It'll be interesting to see whether the higher gold prices really helps some of the poor performers really lift their game.
Follow me at Michael McCrae. That's McCrae with 2 C's. You can follow Paul at Paul Harris Gold on Twitter. There is a lot of good coverage that is coming out of PDAC as well as BMO by myself and Paul Harris. You can find it all on Kitco. If you like what you hear, tell a friend, and don't forget to subscribe. On behalf of Paul Harris and myself, have a pleasant weekend.